Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, picture this. Waking up tomorrow with a brand new superpower. Not flying or invisibility, but the power to stay completely rock solid calm when everyone else around you is absolutely losing their minds. And the clarity to make calculated decisions when life gets incredibly overwhelming. We spend so much time chasing these external milestones, but we completely miss this one foundational ability. So, what exactly is it? Well, let's start with what it's not. It is not more money. You know, most people think, man, if I just hit the lottery, the whole shebang is fixed, my problems are gone. But wealth, it only changes your external circumstances. It doesn't magically fix who you are on the inside or how you actually handle stress on a daily basis. And nope, it's not a higher IQ either. Because raw intelligence or, sheer talent, that stuff won't save you when the pressure is truly on and the stakes are high. So if it isn't wealth and it isn't brain power, what is this elusive secret weapon we're talking about? Here's the craziest part about all of this. Almost nobody teaches it, honestly. Schools completely overlook it, parents rarely sit their kids down to explain it, and worse, modern technology, it is literally actively training you to lose it on a daily basis. The skill we are talking about is emotional control. It's the ability to master your emotions instead of letting them master you. And I'm telling you, when you unlock this, literally every single area of your life changes. Your relationships improve, your career skyrockets because, well, you become the reliable one under stress, and your baseline daily anxiety just drops. So today, we're going to break down exactly why this is a total game changer and how you can actually build it. All right, let's ground this in reality for a second. Think about the last time you said something you immediately regretted. You know the feeling. Maybe you fired off this totally unhinged text message in the heat of the moment, or you quit a frustrating project way too early, or, you bought something you definitely couldn't afford just for that quick little dopamine hit, right? In all those cases, your temporary emotions made a permanent decision before your logic even had a chance to put its boots on. I like to think of the brain like a car. And look, your emotions are not the enemy here. They exist for a very good reason. Fear keeps you alive. Anger tells you when a boundary has been crossed. They are incredible advisors, but they belong in the passenger seat. They can point things out, warn you of danger, but they should absolutely never, ever grab the steering wheel. Logic belongs in the driver's seat. Yet every single day, millions of people let their emotions drive. And that's exactly what leads to those explosive arguments and missed opportunities. And honestly, it is just getting so much harder to stay in that driver's seat. Our brains simply weren't built for today's hyper-connected world. I mean, thousands of years ago, we worried about actual, literal survival. Today, we're having anxiety attacks over notifications. You have to realize, every single vibration on your phone is a multi-billion-dollar attempt to hijack your attention. These algorithms know a dirty little secret. Outrage spreads faster than the truth, and fear gets way more clicks than hope. So every time you scroll, you're unintentionally training your brain to react impulsively. And because of this, without even realizing it, you are becoming emotionally exhausted. Just let the gravity of that sink in for a second. That deep exhaustion is exactly why a tiny, insignificant problem suddenly feels like a massive, life-ending crisis. It's why totally normal, constructive criticism feels like a direct personal attack. If you don't consciously step in and train your emotional control, I guarantee you someone else is going to control your emotions for profit. So what does true emotional strength actually look like in the real world? Well, picture two people facing the exact same setback. Let's say they both just lost out on this massive career opportunity. The person with a weak emotional mind, they internalize it immediately, right? They think, I'm a total failure, everyone was right about me, and they just give up. But the person with a strong mind, look, they aren't a robot, they feel the exact same sharp sting of disappointment. But instead of letting it define them, they pause. They ask, okay, what can I learn from this? What is my next logical move? It's the exact same event, but a completely different response. So how do we actually build that strong mind? It really comes down to the mechanics of strength, and it goes a little something like this. First, there is the stimulus. That's the event that triggers you. Second, there is the pause. And third, there is the intentional response. Listen, that tiny gap between the stimulus and the response, that is exactly where your entire future is decided. And you might be wondering, okay, how long does that pause actually need to be? 5 seconds. Just a mere 5-second pause, taking literally just 5 seconds before speaking, or before hitting send on that highly charged angry email, or before making a major impulse purchase. That tiny little gap has prevented countless terrible decisions and broken relationships throughout human history. Why does that 5-second gap work like magic? Well, it's all because of how your brain is physically wired. Your emotional center, the amygdala, it reacts to threats in milliseconds. It is essentially a biological lightning strike. But your wisdom and logic, which live up front in your prefrontal cortex, they move a lot slower. They need time for context and reasoning. So when you take that pause, you aren't suppressing anything. You are simply giving your wisdom enough physical time to catch up to your feelings. And practicing this totally changes how we view the world around us. Because let's be real, one of the absolute greatest sources of emotional suffering is trying to control things that were never yours to begin with. We're talking about other people's opinions, the state of the economy, the terrible traffic on your commute, things that happened in the past. Trying to manipulate these external forces is just a massive, massive waste of your emotional energy. It literally only leads to frustration. But here's the secret. Accepting what you can't control, it is not giving up. Actually, scratch that. It is the most empowering thing you can possibly do because it finally allows you to focus your energy exclusively on what is inside your control. You control your effort. You control your attitude. You completely control your preparation and your response. The most successful people in the world don't have perfect lives. They've just simply stopped wasting their precious energy fighting reality. Which brings us to this really radical redefinition of discipline. True discipline begins the exact moment you choose not to obey every single emotion that pops into your head. Think about it. If your actions depend entirely on your feelings, like, only working out when you actually feel motivated, your life is always going to be completely inconsistent. But if your actions are based on your core values, meaning, hey, you don't feel like exercising, but you drag yourself there anyway, then progress, it becomes completely inevitable. So, how do we actually make this a reality in our day-to-day lives? You've got to start viewing difficult moments as your daily gym sessions to train your emotional muscles. Emotional control is built in the fire. So here is your daily practice. The next time someone insults you, just pause. Treat it as a rep in the gym. When you feel a massive wave of anxiety, take a deep breath. When you desperately want to quit a hard project, force yourself to wait 24 hours. Little by little, day by day, those emotional muscles are going to grow. Because, the people who achieve truly extraordinary things, they're rarely the smartest in the room, and they are almost never the luckiest. They are simply the individuals who remain completely calm when everyone else is panicking. It really all comes down to this core philosophy. Anyone can react. Very few people can respond. True mastery of your life doesn't begin with your business or your bank account. It begins entirely with the mastery of yourself. Which leaves us with this final thought. Your future isn't created by one massive cinematic movie moment. It is being created right now, today, by thousands of unseen, microscopic emotional choices. Every single time you choose logic over a fleeting feeling, you are rewriting your future. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this one question. How will you respond to your next challenge? Are you going to let your emotions drive the car, or will you take a pause and finally take the wheel? The choice is entirely yours.